Welcome to the playoff push. On today's show, a dynamite road win. DC continues to unravel, and a big star is out in the Big Apple. With Simon Borg, I'm Jason Seguini. This is week 32, and this is the penultimate edition of the playoff push. A lot to look out for this week as the final playoff spot will be taken care of. Simon, let's take a look at the standings.
We begin in the West, where it's still LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders, and Real Salt Lake holding on to that third spot for now. Moving on to the East, Sporting Kansas City leads the way, but Philadelphia and Columbus are close behind. Then in the wild card, it's FC Dallas, Colorado, Houston, and New York clinging to the final wild card spot. But we remember, a team like Houston can still move into first place in the Eastern Conference.
Well, that brings us to our movers for this week. And those Houston Dynamo are our movers this week, and it came with a huge road win at Portland. Simon, this is a team that only had one road win all season up until this game.
And everyone here had a shoe-in victory for Portland at home in a big spot. But Houston, showing their experience, they come in, they manage the game, they get a classic set-piece goal off the foot of Brad Davis, and then a wonder goal by Danny Cruz, and very professional win for them. They're in.
All right, Houston clinches a playoff berth with that victory. Next up, missed opportunities. There's a couple teams we have to mention here, and we're going to start with DC United, who we've been talking about in missed opportunities for too long now. DC with a loss to Chicago. Not only a loss, Simon, but they were up in the 90th minute.
Yeah, 2 goals by Chicago in stoppage time. A real blow to the gut for DC United. Can they come back from this? That's their 4th loss in a row, and what's worrisome is they can't generate enough attack, enough offense.
And the other team we have to mention is the Portland Timbers, who had that home game against Houston.
And Jason, for all the talk that John Spencer and his squad had about deserving to be in this spot, about having real quality, again, they couldn't show up in a big spot. They came up small, frankly. Very timid beginning to that game. They showed they weren't up for it, and it makes you wonder whether they have what it takes to push through.
DC and Portland still with slim playoff chances, but it's another team we're looking at in still alive. The New York Red Bulls had a big game in Kansas City this weekend, and it was unfortunately, Simon, for them, a red card to Thierry Henry that really turned the match.
A shocking play, 27th minute, very early in this game. Looked like it was going to be a very even matchup, but once Henry is out of the game, they're playing with 10. It really was all Kansas City at that point. Now look, New York, though, still have a very good shot. They're at home in the final match of the season against Philly with everything in their hands. They win, they're in. Agudelo will replace Thierry Henry, and Peter Novak of the Philadelphia Union says, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
Interesting comments from Peter Novak. Well, one playoff spot still up for grabs. That brings us to our final verdict. And there's only one playoff spot left because 5 teams clinched the playoffs this past weekend. Colorado, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Columbus, and as we mentioned, the Houston Dynamo.
And although we have basically the entire field clinched except for one spot, there's still a lot to play for here because of positioning. Who hosts first games, who hosts wild card games, and in the East, all those teams still have a shot at winning the East.
That takes us to 2 very important midweek games. The first of those games is DC United hosting the Portland Timbers, 8 p.m. on the Direct Kick package Wednesday night. Both these teams need a win, Simon.
DC has to win their last 2 home games. Portland can get away with a draw, but whatever happens from this game, both teams will be looking at what's going on at Red Bull Arena the next day.
On Thursday night, 8 p.m. on ESPN2, the New York Red Bulls host the Philadelphia Union. The Red Bulls here win and they're in.
Everyone's making this about the Red Bulls. That's exactly the case. But Philadelphia with a lot to play for as well. They could possibly drop down into the wild card standings with a bad result, given all the congestion in the East.
Okay, that's all we have for the playoff push this week. Enjoy the 2 games on Wednesday and Thursday night, and we'll be back on Friday to get you set for the weekend.